Hi, this is Tammy Mattel, curator of the Real Flow Yoga teacher training course, and today's vlog I'd like to talk to you about how to choose a yoga teacher training, more generally, not just the Real Flow one. So I often get asked in class by students that are looking to deepen their practice and perhaps train as teachers, like, what yoga training should I do? And it's a really tricky question to answer because it's such a personal one. That's like someone asking me, what meal should I have next, or who should I date? It's like, I don't know, dude. It's really, where are you at right now? And that's the first question actually to ask yourself, like, what are your underlying intentions with carrying out a yoga teacher training? If you can get to the bottom of that, then that will really provide you with your insights into what into finding the best course for you. So what could your intentions be? Here's a list of some of them. You want to experience something, you want to challenge, you want that experience for yourself, kind of to go deeper into your yoga practice, into your self-inquiry. Another potential reason is you want to make yoga your profession. You'd like that freelancer lifestyle, or you like helping others, and you want to, share the art, the science, the philosophy that is yoga. Or maybe you're looking for some peace and some healing for yourself, or also there could be the reason that you have an existing specialism, say in, I don't know, physiotherapy or in art, and you see a crossover with yoga, and you'd like to kind of bridge the gap between what you're already doing with yoga and bring in some applied skills that way. So yeah, so there are plenty of good reasons to undertake a yoga teacher training course, for sure. But once you've done that, it's good to then check with whatever courses that you're looking at that they have some form of accreditation. Okay, so this is a widely debated topic within existing yoga circles already, but for the layman, for the student that's not like mad into yoga, they don't know about the accrediting bodies, and they just want to rest assured that what you're offering is somehow regulated and has some credentials behind it. So therefore it is useful from a perspective of confidence from your students that you choose a course for yourself that has some regulatory backing, or accredited backing. Yoga Alliance, British Wheel of Yoga, REPS, and what's the other one that IYN. So these are 4 options in the UK that you could go with. Arguably, there's not much difference in them. I say arguably because it is a hotly debated topic to pick up in another vlog. But yeah, just pick one, choose one. All right, so my next point I'd like to make is that at that 200 foundational hour of a yoga teacher training, I promise you, there is a lot more similarity than there are difference. Why? Because to attain that accredited 200 hour, the syllabus is kind of restricted and constrained to various subjects and topics, and therefore if you're looking at that foundational level, you're going to get the same content, arguably different quality, but the content is going to cover anatomy and physiology, teaching, practice and methodology. You've got some yoga business, the business of teaching, and also yoga lifestyle and ethics, and then there's yoga philosophy and history. So ultimately all the courses will cover that in the background. So then that leaves you with, what are the differences between the yoga teacher trainings? And here it depends on what the course, you could look into what the course is emphasizing. Say for example, with Real Flow yoga teacher training, what we emphasize is the creativity and tapping into the ability to go with the flow and be in the flow state, making you an intuitive teacher that's adaptable. So readings on our reading list will cater to that. We'll spend more time looking at like spontaneity versus structure. Another course may may place more emphasis on anatomy. Another course may place more emphasis on the philosophy. I think it's best for you to choose a course which you resonate with and which you find their emphasis and their specialism most interesting. Don't go for the one that you think you should go for, which go for the one you think you're drawn to. All right, so another thing to look out for in terms of differences is the duration of the course. It could be 1 month intensive. It could be split up into modules that's spread out over 3 months, over 6 months, over a year, sometimes even over 3 years. So the duration of the course can vary widely, as does the structure. So you have either in that modular framework, it could be intensive study for a certain period of time, or it could be split up into weekends. And then that brings you the structure often is aligned with whether the course is residential or non-residential. Residential means that you're living on in a communal basis whilst you're doing the training. Non-residential is more like any other course, part-time study where you live at home and you just kind of drop into the studio and you do the module and then you go home again. So it depends what kind of an experience you want to get from your teacher training, and how you personally best learn. So for me, I love the residential intensive immersive experience. I love living fully into the yoga, where you kind of fully immersed. You're part of a community for a while. You're stepping outside your normal everyday life and taking on this new lifestyle. So the residential really offers that, whereas the non-residential, you're dipping in and out, so you're not fully maintaining that continuity and that headspace and that energy space of the yoga. You could kind of be in an urban environment and you flipping back to your regular job, your regular family, your regular commitments. So wearing 2 hats at once. On the other hand, that's very practical and convenient. Not everyone can just drop out of everyday life and go and live in a residential training, and the weekend one's way more practical. So yeah, you have to think about what suits your lifestyle. And then there is the cost. Budget. You have to think about what best suits your pocket. What can you afford versus quality? I mean, roughly speaking, price generally tends to be a good proxy for quality. It has to be, because we're living within a financial system, and the cost of venue, the cost of teachers, tends to be higher with the greater experienced teacher and the better facilitated venue. So bearing that in mind, having said that, you can still have an amazing time and not pay through the nose for it, and you can still learn an awful lot and not go for the high premium. So the trainings cost between 1,000 and 4,000 for this, basically the same qualification. So it's up to you on that spectrum what you can afford. Often you'll find, and with the Real Flow Yoga Teacher Training course, you can pay in installments, and there are price plans. You pay in whatever affordable amounts that is available. So that's a good thing to consider. Location, this is a good one, and personally I've done a training every year for 10 years, sometimes more than one a year, and I always go with what feels where I want to be. Is it Bali, Mexico, India, California? Where do I want to go and visit? Maybe it's London, because that's most appropriate for your schedule. And then what else? Oh yeah, the style of yoga style. What is it that you practice at the moment? What is it that you'd like to learn more about? So it could be high tempo, high intensity to slow and low intensity. What's appropriate for you and your body and your practice, but also thinking about your students and your potential students, and what is it that would most likely be that they need, or your potential market, what that best requires. Don't always go with what's fashionable and what's on trend. You know, one year it's Bikram, another year it's Anusara, one year it's like Scaravelli. You know, styles aside, think about and go with the yoga approach that most resonates for you. So with the Real Flow Yoga, we offer a really broad spectrum of approaches of styles of yoga, going from high intensity to low intensity, so that we can take a student focused approach to practicing and teaching. And then of course there's the yoga teacher and the teaching faculty. That is a consideration when you're choosing a yoga training course, because you know, it's often good to go with the teacher that you know, and then you know what you're going to get. You know, you already have that rapport with them, and you can connect to what it is that they're transmitting it from their message from yoga. Having said that, it's also not a huge inhibitor if you don't know the teacher. Sometimes you can get a good feel from them from the information that's out there on them. For example, what's their training if you research, Google it, look on their website, their social medias, and get a good feel for them, and what's their training background, what's their experience, what's their specialism, and that can give you the information you need. Also, I've been on trainings where actually I didn't know anything about the teacher. I did the research and I felt satisfied that the credentials are good, and I went and I paid a lot of money and I did the course, and then I found I really didn't like, on a personal level, I really didn't like the teacher. I found them quite challenging on a personal level to get on with, and and I was a little, it brought up a lot of conditioning in me, and I found it quite challenging at first. But then I realized a really important lesson, which is it's not just about the teacher, it's about learning to be, or also being a good student, and you have a responsibility as a student to learn and gain what you can from the opportunity that you're placed in. Learning is basicyou a two-way process. It's the giving and receiving of information, and so the onus is it's on you as the student as much as it is the teacher. So actually you can get a lot out of it even if you don't resonate with the teacher. That was one of my biggest lessons that I learned, and actually on a technical level I learned loads despite not liking the teacher. And then size of the group or the other trainee. How big is the teacher training? Like, how many other students are going to be there? There's some teacher trainings where there's like 200 students with you, alongside you, and then there's others where it could just be you. I've been on ones where it's literally just been me and two other students. So that will really shape your experience on the training. In the small group, you get a lot of personal attention, you get a lot of your bespoke requirements met, a lot of interaction with the teacher on a personal level. So there's great opportunity to learn that way. But then in the big environment, when there's loads of students, that's also really elevating too, and a really amazing opportunity, because you can really feed from the group and the group energy, and actually there's a lot more peer-to-peer learning that could potentially go on there. You could really build networks and stuff if you're that kind of person which likes to hobnob around with with a big group of people. But ultimately, when it comes to it, I'd like to say that when you're choosing a yoga teacher training, you really have to go with your gut. You really have to listen to what your reaction is from the inside when you're looking at the material presented. This is ultimately going to be the best approach to choosing a teacher training, because there are so many out there, all offering really joyful and amazing experiences, and there's so much great knowledge to be gained. So ultimately, you can't really make a wrong decision if you have the right attitude. Good luck, and get in touch if you want to know more about the Real Flow Yoga teacher training.